We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome in. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Football Frenzy, Sports by the Book, right here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Alongside me, Ryan McCormick. What a tie.
Thanks.
Wow.
Tiffany got it for me.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's a nice Bears tie. Got a good amount of NFL stuff on it, too.
A lot going on. Very nice, though. Very nice.
Thanks.
Hope you enjoyed your Christmas. Hope everyone out there enjoyed your holiday yesterday. And now, we usually have him at the end of these Thursday shows, but because he was on property, we had to bring him in at the top of the show. Our good friend Dwayne Colucci. There it is. The in-studio version, even better. Race and Sportsbook Director up to the Rampart. Dwayne, first off, Merry Christmas.
Yes,
and
Merry Christmas
preemptive
to everybody.
Happy New Year as well. It's a pretty darn good time of year, my friend.
Especially to be a bookie, working with Rampart and South Point. It's great. Yeah, it's definitely exciting time. Yesterday, there was a ton of action. No horse racing, unfortunately, but we had the NBA where every dog basically covered, and the two whitewashes, unfortunately, in the NFL, which, it's starting now. You're starting to see these teams are measured, and you could see that the cream is rising to the top, and who's shocked that the Chiefs are there once again. And once everything has to go through Kansas City, guys, you know how difficult it is to win in Arrowhead Stadium. So, it's just going to be difficult. They flexed again, beat another quality team. Whether Pacheco gets banged up, they have injuries, they still have momentum and are able to win. It's just amazing how good this team is. And now you're starting to borderline a dynasty similar, and I won't say similar yet to, Tom Brady and New England, but it's starting to get there. And it's just, it's really impressive. And we're going to see if Buffalo or the Ravens could knock them off their throne.
Well, if Kansas City does win the Super Bowl, they'll be the first team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 straight.
Yep, right.
They'll have 4 out of 6 as well. They will have done it with this team that everyone claims is not that good. They're only 15-1. I mean,
right. And that was always the measuring stick, Jeff. I'm glad you said that, because always me, you guys know I'm a Cowboy fan. I wanted that 3rd Super Bowl in a row so bad, and then you had the Schwitzer parody and all that. And we got the 3 out of 4, but that is the measuring stick. If Mahomes could get that done, and Kelsey and the rest, Andy Reid, it's just a major accomplishment.
So, Dwayne, before we get into tonight, I do want to just step back. You mentioned it yesterday. All 5 underdogs covered in the NBA yesterday, which is pretty wild. And then you have the 2 favorites covering with absolute ease yesterday in the NFL. Really just the tale of 2 sports with that more than anything. And just again, we're every day of the week with football this week. With bowl games going on right now, including the 3rd straight overtime bowl game.
This has been a great
as we
game.
all expected. But now with Pitt and
Toledo
Toledo,
coming
which by
back.
the way, Ryan, number dependent.
Yeah.
Depending on what you got right now with the game, of course, you're landing on 7. Vinny landing in the middle.
Where is he?
But Dwayne, just how does yesterday just start off this week different than basically every other week? Because we don't see NFL football. Chiefs, by the way, just became the second team in NFL history to play on 6 days and 6 different days in the week. Only Tuesday they missed. Netflix had that stat yesterday. Only second team in NFL history to do that.
And 12 days, I think they're playing all these matchups in. So, you know, it's definitely impressive, but it sets the tone. I mean, the favorites are covering again, and it's just like you said, you know, you're yelling Vinny's name, Chris's name, because so many of these games have fallen on or close to the point spread, and that makes it impossible for us as bookmakers. I mean, when you're moving from key numbers to, 7 to 7.5, it definitely hurts if the game lands on 7, because you push a lot of the money, you get sided in certain situations. And this has been a very difficult NFL season for us as bookmakers. This has been one of the worst I can remember in, recent history. But on the other hand, you did have the NBA that was able to cover us, with all those underdogs starting right off, where the Knicks couldn't, cover that 9.5 point spread against Wemby and San Ann. So that was a big game. And then you had great two-way action on the Golden State Laker game. You know that. I mean, you have so many clients that back Golden State as well as the Lakers. So that game worked out pretty well for us. No Luka for Dallas. That definitely hurt. And, the NBA has been under a lot of scrutiny this year. Viewership is down. I'm seeing a lot less handle than we usually have, but it definitely will start to get going. You have that midseason tournament that's out of the way now, and you're going to start to see some of these teams make maneuvers, whether they cut players, looking for trades to try and improve their chances to win an NBA championship. And we still have that. We have tons of bowl games. The playoffs still going on. You have NFL playoffs, NFL down the stretch here. It's a fabulous time of the year, just like Jeff said.
For the NBA, is there any top teams in the futures market right now?
Well, definitely, Ryan. You know the Celtics are always going to be a major player just because of the talent that they have on that roster. It's just incredible. In the offseason, we took a few hits on the Knicks and the Timberwolves, because people felt what trade could help those two squads, without a doubt. Denver is a focal point in the market. We're so close to Los Angeles. The Lakers are always, as long as LeBron is playing, and you got Bronny, and you got Davis, and you got all these guys. You had JJ now, as the coach. It definitely helps increase handle. The usual suspects, though, that are taking a lot of backing. And, Milwaukee did impress in the midseason tournament, so now we did take a hit on them as well. Ticket count has been solid, always with the futures, because that's where you have the sharps basically, monitoring, and we do leave the odds up, so we change and move them. So if we are caught slipping and a team then gets hot and rolls off 15, 20, at a 25, you're definitely going to have some liability on that team heading into the playoffs. But it's just, can they keep that momentum going? That's what you always want to focus when you're looking at future wagers. It isn't like the Ravens or the Chiefs where the consistency. Sure. The NBA fluctuates. Hockey fluctuates massively. You have a team like the New York Rangers this year that we had an immense ticket count for them to win the Stanley Cup, and now they're basically with my Montreal Canadiens at 500. So, and they were perceived as one of the worst teams in the NHL. So the futures market is definitely, the landscape changes in each sport, Ryan.
Okay.
Dwayne, let's go to tonight. It's Ryan's Chicago Bears.
There we
They're
go.
down.
Have not won since before the bye week.
The Bears are down.
And it's that is one way to put it for sure. Bearing down in the worst possible way.
Wow, 9 straight.
9 straight losses. Their last win actually was in London, no less.
Yes.
So it's been even longer since they've won stateside. And I mean, look, we know the exact moment it all fell apart. It was just one badly timed deflection, and that was that. But what are you looking at in your shop here? You guys are up to 4.5. Up to 4, I should say. There are some in the market that's at 4.5, including there's one rogue 5 out there.
Yeah.
It's been one-way ticketing on the Seattle Seahawks tonight, who need to win their last 2 games to give themselves a good opportunity to win that NFC West. There are some weird, funky tiebreakers that go into it if them and the Rams end up tied. which would be a Ram win and a Seahawk, and then a Seahawk win against the Rams next week. But if they lose tonight, it's basically lights out with the Rams. Then winning on Saturday would be all over.
Yeah, and that was a huge win against your Jets there, Jeff, for the Rams.
It was a huge win for me. It was actually one of the last bets I've actually won this week. That's the type of week it's been going.
Join the club, Jeff. You know I'm a horse player, so you know I'm taking my lumps. I haven't cashed a ticket since Delmar, so about the only thing I handicap well is NHL and football. But yeah, you have a one-way ticket count in this game just because of the implications. Nothing against Ryan's team, but they just really, I can't believe they were actually competing. They were solid in that division, maybe not going to win. You kind of knew they were going to finish last, but they had a sense of hope, and then it just got diminished, like Jeff said, with the Jaden Daniels bomb there. So, very difficult to handicap the Bears right now. There's going to be a lot of different movement in the offseason for this team. You know that. They're definitely going to make some changes, and, we'll see if Williams is the future, that they're hoping that he could provide winning atmosphere. And, that division is just so superior right now in the NFL. You look at it, I mean, Sam Darnold is playing fabulous, throwing on the run now, just unbelievable chemistry with Jefferson. Detroit, we know how good they are, but they're starting to get a little banged up, and I think we could maybe see them come back down to earth. And, Love is just playing great right now. That was just a phenomenal game the other night where the Saints just couldn't even get on track. So that's a very difficult division. NFC is very difficult right now to handicap who's going to come out of that fracas. You have so many teams alive, and the people, that felt the San Francisco 49ers with a team, they're in the clubhouse. So, it's definitely going to be interesting. The Eagles look like the real deal, but they have so many problems in their locker room. Keep this in mind. Sirianni is hated. I see how it is. I mean, he's constantly fighting with players. Now, they said he was fighting with Zach Ertz, who's a wily veteran, and, Antonio Brown don't get along with Hurts. Hurts is concussed. Who knows what's going to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles, but they still could win games, and you could see that on talent alone with all these problems. So NFC is wide open. Bears are a disappointment this year, but join the club. The Cowboys are too. And the Jets.
No,
so,
forget it.
Yeah,
I mean, the collection of nonsense from this desk, forget it. By the way, real quick, injury-wise, Seattle, Kenneth Walker was put on IR, so his season, unless if there's some miraculous run to the Super Bowl by the Seahawks, is over.
Yeah.
Zach Charbonnet, by the way, you see the anytime touchdown market that is over at DK. By the way, I noticed you put a long shot on there tonight, Ryan. So So I know you're already that. Charbonnet, so you're laying $2 basically in the anytime touchdown market. But Dwayne, I just want to ask you, you just mentioned it, that this whole NFC is open, basically open. Detroit's injuries, the chaos in the Philadelphia locker room. By the way, Jalen Hurts still in concussion protocol right now. Kenny Pickett is also banged up. So we could get some very weird stuff potentially in South Philly on Sunday.
Dallas playing spoiler. Huh? I mean, Tampa felt the wrath last week.
Well, on the Dallas and CeeDee Lamb season is over. They shut him down today, and quite frankly, properly so, after taking yet another hit to that right shoulder last week. See, it's pretty amazing. Look, we can rag on the Cowboys all we want, but I got to give CD and a lot of those guys on that offense a ton of credit. Mike McCarthy's more likely than not a dead man walking at head coach, and they were eliminated going into that game earlier in that Sunday because they couldn't hit the 14-game parlay, right? That's what it was? I think it was a 14-game parlay that was needed. Which actually they did okay until they were actually – everything happened they needed except for the Commanders losing on Sunday. But – I got to give them a ton of credit. They played their asses off on Sunday night against a team squarely in the playoff race, and they beat them. They beat them.
They beat them.
The last play of the game is one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen, but that's a different time for a different story for a different time. But Dwayne, just the NFC picture, I know you just went through it a little bit. I'm going to bet the Packers to win. Sorry, Ryan. Going to bet the Packers this week to win the NFC.
It's not out of the question.
I think it's totally in play with the fact that a third crack at Detroit. Yes. I know it's a cliche, but I think this go around it would be hard for Detroit to beat them a third time. And look, if Philadelphia has to play Minnesota in round one or LA, look, it's a possibility of an upset there.
And that's a big coaching matchup, too,
Yeah.
because LaFleur has to have his mindset right and coach this team to beat Detroit. That's the whole key. You have to stop. How many times do we say it on this show, on any show? Stop, I'm on St. Brown. I mean, the guy is just a beast, and he will exploit you. Now, they have some running back issues now, a little banged up. We're starting to see teams compete with Detroit now. It's just a matter of who is the top dog. Is it Green Bay? Is it Minnesota? Is it Detroit? Or is it Philly? Like we said, you have a jumble in that out west, so it's definitely difficult to see who's even going to come out of there. But, Jeff, you definitely have a chance if you do back the Green Bay Packers. You remember last year, phenomenal playoff run, just destroyed Dallas. Then they almost beat San Francisco, I believe, and, they just played really, really well.
Out of Toyotathon, though. That's the only issue with Jordan Love, to say the least. So, Dwayne, just bowl season at large before we look at the college football playoff. How has the bowl betting been impacted just of the unknowns in a lot of these games, even though, again, we're on 3 straight overtime games right now where Toledo just made the field goal to go up by 3 in the second overtime, which, by the way, secures a Toledo cover on any number out there. So you're at home if you have the Rockets. But how have these opt-outs and these non-playoff games, have they impacted handle in comparison to past years? Or are people just so jazzed that they still have another month to bet college football that they're still coming to the window in droves?
Well, they're jazzed, Jeff, but definitely you have to handicap these games and the transfer portal and all these guys, on the cusp of NFL superstardom. I mean, you've seen Colorado took out insurance policies on their 2 number 1 players, Deion Sun and Hunter. So, it's definitely going to affect, especially when you have the sharp money involved. Those are the guys that are going to retract or bet with both hands. That's the whole key. People are stoked that you do have football. It continues on, but a lot of people start to now handicap the NFL as well and get excited for what's going on there. So, the handle has been affected. My property has had a great increase in handle every month since football started on both, the sports and the horse racing. We're doing a fabulous job. Chris is doing a great job. You have Vinny. I mean, just unbelievable promotions. We have the jackpot cards. We had the down the stretch card this year, which was rivalry week. We're doing a lot of different things here at the Rampart and South Point. And always remember, you come to the counter, that's where you're going to get the big bets. We love to have you come in, create a working relationship with us, and you're not going to see Chris deny any bets. It's just unbelievable, and the handle has been off the hook, Jeff.
Ryan and I both have it in our hands. I have the games that are listed. Ryan has the side with the jackpot numbers, $25,000 guarantee.
And the rules, yep.
Only $5 for the college bowl games that begin on Saturday with the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Perfect. Absolutely perfect start. Right.
That trophy's the best.
Pop-Tarts
They got it
Bowl.
actually making now, the Pop-Tarts, the trophy this year.
Well, Vinny, we showed it. We showed it on Friday.
Right.
Vinny
With
was
the
not a
toaster
fan.
in the back. Vinny was very offended by the toaster trophy. I don't know what was going on there, but it was definitely the case. But all the playoff games are on here as well. So make sure you do that. $5. Get it in by Saturday morning to make sure you have a shot.
Yes, and only
$25K.
$5.
All right, Dwayne. College football playoff games.
Yes.
How's the action look starting on New Year's Eve? Boise State, Penn State. Nittany Lions really put it on SMU. Now Boise with the extra rest with, again, is a double-digit underdog in this one with the bye week, naturally. 10.5, as high as 11 in some shops, Dwayne.
Yeah, getting Penn State money. Ticket count is in favor of Penn State. Boise, superstar running back. Definitely. I love the Cowboys to get their heads on this guy. That's the answer to our running back woes. But, this might be a lot of points. I mean, Penn State, they've played well, don't get me wrong. But you're talking about more than double digits on a team that was, more higher ranked. So this is going to be an interesting game. Penn State is playing very well, though, now. But we are seeing a lot of Penn State money here, Jeff, at the Rampart and South Point.
Well, I'm curious about the one that involves Arizona State. Open 14, now down to 13.5. Has there been a good amount of support for the Longhorns or the Devils in this one?
They played so well, Ryan. I'll be honest with you, Arizona State. I'm just so disappointed that their superstar wide receiver is not playing. We talked about that in the last week when I was on. They definitely had a chance with this kid, and they've played very, very well. You know, we're seeing more Longhorn money. Texas is very hungry right now. You know, you have that high-powered offense, and they just want to rectify the issues of losing to Georgia, which, you know, leaves them in a kind of a suspect light. But Texas has played very well this year. You know, this is the conference restructuring and also now the playoff restructuring that we'll see if it plays into their favor. You know, you do have a major injury on Arizona State's, you know, side of the ball, but definitely they could compete if they play their top game.
He's off of 14 though now, which is interesting.
Definitely.
Which again, I know that's a number take with Arizona State. Ryan and I talked about this before the tournament. I just think this is a death matchup for Arizona State.
It is.
With Scatterbo as great as he is, that is just such a good defensive line for Texas. Now, Dwayne, to the game where we're going to have the regular media calling this an upset, even though it's not an upset if it happens.
Right.
Ohio State is a 2.5-point favorite in the Rose Bowl against Oregon. First off, Ryan and I had talked about this at length. This is just brutally unfair to what happened to Oregon here, where clearly the best team on the field all year, maybe not in power rankings, but on the field, they're only 13-0 team in college football. Your reward is you play the second best team in the country, or to some, the best team in the country.
Exactly.
Because they had one off day against their biggest rival. And here you are. And look, I'm not surprised at this, that Ohio State is nearing a field goal. With that said, if we get a field goal, Dwayne, I better not blink, because there'll be a take on Oregon at that point if we get to the 3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you would be wise to definitely take a field goal. Once again, we talk about these key numbers, 2, 2.5, on to 3. That's the key number that if the game ever falls on 3 with the buyback, we get destroyed. So don't even mention that. We're looking to actually have a great handle on this game. And I'll tell you, the only thing that really Oregon has favorably in this matchup is that they don't have to travel far. I mean, it's in California, whereas, you know, Ohio State has to basically travel. But this is a difficult game to handicap. Oregon gets smacked in the face, you know, like Jeff said. They should be rewarded a little higher for that running the table this season and a very difficult schedule. Don't kid yourself. And, you know, Ohio State is hungry right now. This is a great game. I'm going to lay off this game. I really don't have an opinion, but the public is taking Ohio State. You could see it. And, you know, if we do get that key number of 3, you better jump on it, Jeff.
Well, the history is on the side of the Buckeyes. They've faced twice in the Rose Bowl, these two, 1958 and 2010, and the Buckeyes won both of those games. So I personally have loved Oregon all year. I have had a ticket on them to win the national championship since this first matchup earlier this year, but I did also say that had this been a Big Ten championship matchup, I would have liked the Buckeyes, but it's in the playoffs, and I've liked Oregon the whole year, so I'm with the Ducks in this one.
Such a difficult game. What a great sight, though. Pasadena, New Year's Day.
Unbelievable.
Perfect.
Doesn't get better than that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And then the Sugar Bowl, I caught you off guard when I said I like Notre Dame to win this field, but they win relatively. It's funny. It ended up being the closest game of them all because of the points at the end of the game.
Right, but it was an easy victory.
It was a no-sweat cover.
Exactly.
On Notre Dame. Gunnar Stockton will make his first career start for Georgia with Carson Beck's season over, Tommy John surgery. This number is already baked in that Beck wasn't going to play. That's why he never moved.
Exactly.
Off that 1.5. And Dwayne, look, I'm sticking to my guns here. I have no reason for me to back off, but tightest line game of the weekend, and really, in all honesty, the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl back-to-back, they're the 2 best games of these quarterfinals. Let's be real. The line's telling you that.
And you have 2 big injuries, you know, like you said, Beck, and also Notre Dame missing a key defensive, player. So this is a very difficult game to handicap in New Orleans. Another toss-up. I kind of got to give Georgia a slight edge, but, you know, when you're not playing with a key element, it's hard to handicap these games. And, you know, it's an SEC team, don't get me wrong. Notre Dame, we know what they bring to the table. They just hammered, like you said, Jeff, last week. They were very, very impressive. And I was, like, actually biting my tongue because I'm like, I was all over Jeff. And they're actually looking good. So I hope you cash your ticket, Jeff. I'll be honest with you.
I would like to cash my ticket.
I like a future ticket now. I mean, they opened 25-1. You can see on our sheet. Currently at 6-1. This is big matchup, though. Got to win this one. Take baby steps.
By the way, so Ann, as a Christmas gift to all of us, purchased us futures.
Nice.
So she
Stocking
did it.
stuff.
She did it in a fashion, except for Ryan, where people had to root against basically rivalry. So Sean, who's a big Oklahoma fan, now has a Texas ticket in his pocket.
There you go.
Jerry, who is Mr. Puddles back there, has an Ohio State ticket in his top pocket.
You guys are all alive here.
Well, I have Georgia. So
where'd you purchase these tickets, Ann? Did you purchase them here? That we're definitely going to pay a future. Get Vinny in here. Get him in here.
That's great. So, but Dwayne, before we let you go, these are the current odds, by the way, behind us, where Texas is your betting favorite, just because Ohio State and Oregon are playing each other.
Right, exactly. Right. So, easier road.
So it's an easier road. Texas is almost a 2-touchdown favorite, as we know, against Arizona State. Georgia and Notre Dame, same odds. Penn State plus 550. You could have got Boise longer before the year, but 30-1 with only having to win 3 games.
It's not
nice
bad.
Long price. Same on Arizona State at 60 as well. All right, though, Dwayne, before we let you go, this weekend in the NFL, it's a funky one with obviously starting tonight, but we got 3 Saturday games. We have the least amount of games ever on an NFL Sunday.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Since going to 32 teams.
Right.
But really the whole weekend comes down to, for Ryan, team not to be named at all, going to Minnesota, the Vikings and the Packers, where, you know what? I know it's not a neutral. It's a pick. They bet him down from 1.5, and you know what? How could you argue with it being a pick on this game?
I thought you were going to go right after the Raiders and Saints.
I can't do Dwayne, last week look, the Raiders have played back. The fact that the Raiders now have back-to-back games of the century with the Jaguars last week and now the Saints, it's pretty impressive. By the way, Raiders, I feel pretty confident Raiders are going to win and screw up the draft position.
Nation is looking for blood after that victory last week. They're claiming it blew the draft.
He'll be even more upset after they win again.
A little bit of rightfully
exactly. Oh, best matchup, though, by far. You're right. Green Bay and Minnesota. Cam Darnold, get it done. I mean, he looked really good. I'm telling you. It's going to be a tough game. This is a very difficult game, Ryan. I know you hate the Packers, and Minnesota definitely has a chance here. They're starting to turn the corner, and they definitely are playing, and they're well coached. They're playing a good brand of football. It's just a matter of controlling the ball in this game. I think they have to play a little more ball control, keep it out of Love's hands, and they could easily win this game. Definitely a marquee matchup when you look at this schedule, like Jeff said. I mean, you don't have much on there other than the Falcons and Commanders. That's a decent game. You have some playoff implication games, seeding, and whatnot, but that's the marquee matchup. Probably going to be the greatest handle at the Rampart and South Point out of all the games. Maybe Philly and Dallas, because there's still a lot of those Cowboy fans in Philly, right now riding high. But that's going to be a top handle game without a doubt.
I mean, you'd made the mention earlier in the show about how good the NFC North has been. If the Packers win Sunday against the Vikings and then they beat the Bears next week, it would be the first time in NFL history that 3 members of the same division have 13 wins in the same season.
And playing well.
Yeah, and you are 100% right that the Minnesota team needs to keep the ball out of Jordan Love's hands, the Packers offense off the field. But the game that I'm really curious about is the one in the AFC that has the most playoff implications with it. Because if the Broncos win, they're in. Pretty much every other team available or alive for the wild card, their playoff chances are over. If the Bengals win, the Colts, the Finns, and the Bengals all also stay alive for Week 18. So are you seeing any kind of confidence in the Broncos to put an end to it, clinch their playoff spot, or is it the Bengals at home?
The Bengals are such a focal point because they're so flashy, Ryan, with Joe Burrow and Chase and all that going on. People feel more confident because you're dealing with a team that's been in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And, when you look at the way Peyton coaches, it's changed. It's not like the glory years with Drew Brees and those guys. It's definitely changed, and it's under the microscope, I'll be honest with you. I don't really give out too many NFL picks. I love Cincy in this game. I don't think Denver has any chance, I'll be honest with you. I think they're going to just put up the points, and I think, there's a big difference than playing Anthony Richardson, I'll be honest with you. I think that Burrow will come to play, and Chase will be hungry, and this offense is high-powered. Higgins starting to get involved now, too. He had 11 targets, 9 catches last week. So this is a faceted offense with high wide receiver power, and Joe Burrow is the man. When you put the ball in his hands, he definitely wants to win, despite their defense is horrible. We know that, but they could still win games, and that's another tough division, when you look at Pittsburgh Ravens and Cincy there. Deshaun Watson got hurt very early, so you can't just, Cleveland also at times has played some solid games and has kept up. So very tough division. I like Cincy in that game.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think Denver's going to do the classic back their way in, where they're going to win Week 18 against Carson Wentz and the backup Chiefs at the end of the season. Again, win number 10. Hey, look, any way you can get it. They haven't been in the playoffs since they won Super Bowl 50, so
that's right.
Be a big deal for them. Dwayne, pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for being in with us today.
Definitely. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thanks for having me on. Thanks to the crew. Best show out there, without a doubt. When you're talking about sports betting and sports gambling, sports by the book, football frenzy, all that, just, we are behind the counter, and we don't prefabricate any truths. I've been working for Chris for a lot of years now, working with Vinny, know Vinny for years, from back in the days before I was able to gamble, when he was running Caesars. I mean, it's just a great camaraderie, and proud to be a part of this team.
By the way, we have an upset in Detroit. Toledo wins. Well, maybe. Hold on. What is going on?
How many times has this happened this year?
Oh, we might not have an upset yet.
A flag?
All right, there's a flag. All right, whatever. We'll sort that out during the break. We'll take a 2-minute break. When we get back, Ryan and I will go through all of our prop bets for tonight and Thursday Night Football. And maybe even some power rankings today, because I moved someone back to number 1 yet again. Right here, Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
We're back in at Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. Jeff Parles, Ryan McCormick. Tiff really did an amazing job with that tie. I really do like that tie a lot.
I'll have to see if she knows where she got it, and then we'll send Margaret to find a Jets one for you.
The joke's on everybody there. I don't wear ties, so that's the thing.
At least
by the way, I think it is now officially over in Detroit. Oh, nope. The ref is telling everyone to get off the field again. What is happening?
Doing this twice.
What is going on?
We're back in Arizona State.
We're doing it again. So, real quick, because this football frenzy, we love all sorts of football on
Bug
this
went
show.
final.
I thought he was short. So Toledo and Pitt, which is in the fourth overtime. Toledo, by the way, is covering, regardless. Just a matter of what gets home on the money line. The game is super, super over. We're in the fourth overtime because both head coaches way too conservative. Toledo scored a touchdown at the end of the first overtime, kicked the PAT, then kicked the field goal on the opener to that of the second overtime, which was fine. It was 4th and 10 at the 15-yard line. No problem with that. Pitt then got it down to second and goal at the 2, ran it into the line twice, and then Arduzzi inexplicably kicked the field goal instead of going for the win from the yard and a half. When it turns into a 2-point shootout in the next overtime.
Yeah, I mean that shows no confidence in your offense.
By the way, I think he was short.
Yeah,
it is close, but we'll see how much the replay review guy wants to go home. Because that is really close. Pitt, by the way, on their fourth quarterback also in this game. So total utter chaos.
He might have gotten a reach.
That's super close. That is so close.
He might not be down.
Like I said, I think it's going to come down to how much the replay review guy wants to go home. This is the better angle. Oh, you can't see anything from that angle.
So is it the better angle?
In theory, it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, yeah. I know.
All right, let's go to tonight. I'll keep you updated on that chaos. Bears and Seahawks. All right, Ryan, you've been waiting for this one on this show the entire year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 4 with the Seahawks now. Toggler here, 3.5, 4, 3.5, 4. 41.5. Weather, all things considered for Chicago, looked like we were going to have a problem earlier in the week on this night. 45 degrees with limited wind.
Beautiful day after Christmas.
Pretty darn good for Chicago in the last 5 days of the year.
Yeah.
Even with that, this total's been bent under, and I don't know if I agree with that market move. There is the potential that if the wind starts whipping the wrong way, then you're in a little bit of trouble. But it isn't supposed to be crazy wind, 10 miles an hour right now. If the gusts do pick up, you could have an issue. But if that wind is normalish, like that, I would go over that 41.5 in the traditional sense. Sidewise, I don't know what to do with this. This is 1.5 on a look ahead, and then has been bopped up correctly so because the Bears have been an abomination since firing Eberflus.
Yeah, and to your point about the side, the Bears have allowed 30 plus in 3 straight for the last 5. So their defense is not playing well since they're firing their head coach Matt Eberflus, who was their defensive leader. So the whole roster is really kind of falling apart with everything, all the moving pieces in the coaching staff. It's really just been a failure of a year for the Bears team. But I tried to have a little fun in looking at some stuff for this one. So the Seahawks lead all time, 11-8. This is the 20th all-time meeting. The Bears have won the last 2 in 2018 and in 2021. The Bears have never won 3 straight in this between these two franchises. So that would say that the Seahawks are due for the win here tonight. Mm-hmm. But the Bears, how we had said earlier in the episode, have lost 9 straight games. They're being outscored 241-135. They're being outscored by 106 points over the last 9 weeks. 4 of those games, the Commanders' loss, one of the Packers' losses, one of the Vikings' losses, one of the Lions' losses, were a combined 10 points. Those 4 playoff teams, 4 losses by a combined 10 points. The other 5 losses were to the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Vikings, Lions, not the Packers yet, again, but the Vikings, Lions, and 49ers. Those 5 losses to 3 non-playoff teams and 2 divisional opponents were by a combined 96 points. So to 4 playoff teams, proving that we are a competitive team, was 10 points. To non-competitive teams, rosters that need help, the team just quits and they get absolutely slapped upside the head. And then it is the final home game of the year for the Chicago Bears. After winning their first 3 home games of the year against the Titans, Rams, and Panthers, they've lost 4 straight to the Patriots, Packers, Vikings, and Lions, but still have a positive point differential at home. So they beat up the teams so badly at the beginning of the year. The offense was doing well at the beginning of the year. And since one domino fell, the whole house of cards, as you said earlier today, has fallen down.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, I love my Chicago Bears, and I do have plenty of hope for the future. And I do think that they have pieces on the roster to easily get you over the 41.5 tonight. But will the coaching staff be able to get them there? Will the players be able to put it on the field to get you there? I'm not confident in. I would like to say I'm more confident in the team that is trying to make a playoff push, but then we've also seen that it is the NFL and teams want to play spoiler. So there is a likelihood for the Chicago Bears tonight, because it is also an interim head coach who has yet to win a game, and they want to win a game for Thomas Brown, who has been a leader for them this year. So I think the Bears will have plenty of fight in them tonight, being a home underdog. The more confident thing of the point of the spread side and total would be the over 41.5 for me.
Boy, it's just you mentioned what I said this morning. It just, that house of cards just as quickly as a house of cards can come down. And look, we'll see what Chicago does with their head coaching hire. Ben Johnson apparently is interested. So that is a very large, good first step for the Bears, because they've said all along that Ben Johnson was going to be very selective with interviewing. Forget if he's interviewing, he wants the job. Yes. Which I think will come down to Chicago. And if the Bengal job does open, I think those will be the two that Ben Johnson probably will be in the running for. I don't think Ben Johnson will be interested in anything else if that opens. Anytime touchdown market. All right, you're going to have to explain yourself here, Ryan.
Why Pharaoh Brown?
Yes, yes. Why is Pharaoh Brown at the bottom of your screen here at 11-1? Pharaoh Brown, who is, by the way, a name who I have not heard in probably, I don't know, about 2-3 years.
I think that's
he had a long touchdown catch against the Jets last year. Pharaoh Brown has 7 receptions for 61 yards on the season.
Yeah.
He's 11-1.
Yeah.
He only has how many targets this year? Yeah, 11 targets. Why did he make the cut here for the graphic?
Well, so he made the cut because everyone else that could have also been in that position are also 11-1 or longer.
Fair enough.
So it was really, I just needed to fill the spot. I don't have a play on Pharaoh Brown.
I thought it was going to be a lot more fun than that.
It could have been, but no, I don't have a play on Pharaoh Brown.
By the way, the other options 11-1. I would say, I'll tell you right now, AJ Barner actually at 11-1. I don't think is a horrible bet. Yeah. Just throwing that out there. He did score a touchdown last week, so not a horrible bet at 11-1.
Yeah, Jake Bobo's also gone up to 10-1. A little tempting there as well. But as for the more likely ones on the board, I do like one from Keenan Allen tonight. I do also like one from DJ Moore. I do like multiple passing touchdowns from Caleb Williams tonight. Keenan Allen and DJ Moore have been the two top receivers in this offense. They get force-fed the ball. And since Thomas Brown has taken over as the he was the passing game coordinator. Since he took over as the offensive coordinator, DJ Moore's yards per target went from over 10 while Matt Eberflus was still the head coach and Shane Waldron was still the offensive coordinator to just about 7 currently. Or over the last 3 weeks. So they're minimizing DJ Moore's depth of target, trying to get him more yards after catch. So I do think they have been force-feeding DJ Moore the ball at the line of scrimmage more so than at the beginning of the year. So I do like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore to score on the Bears side of the ball. Did you have one that you liked?
After I give you that, I'm going to update everyone on the nonsense in Detroit.
Oh, we're back. We're in 6 OTs.
The game's still going. The game is still going. I'm just going to ask you real quick. Because that Roschon Johnson number is very large.
Yes, it
at
is.
Plus 370.
Yep.
Bears have to get down there, though. That's the real issue. And then they actually have to give him the ball.
Yeah.
Which the Bears have been unwilling to do when he's really the only good inside the 3-yard line guy.
Yep.
That's a big number, though. Ryan. I feel like that's a reasonable number. Also, Cole Kmet at 4-1 is also like this does not feel like a chalk game. And granted, you only have one guy who's really chalk anyway in this game with Charbonnet, but it's just a matter of finding the right price and the right guy here tonight. Again, Metcalf at plus 220. There are a bunch that like you could talk me into, but I just probably won't end up betting much of anything. Maybe Smith and Jigba, like I said on Monday, at about $2. Don't mind that. He's had a huge 6 weeks.
Right.
There are options here. Just a matter of finding the right dart tonight. Because again, we're all plus prices except for Charbonnet. I do think Charbonnet scores. I would just probably try to place it with something else so you're not laying $2.
With the weather situation tonight, with how bad the Bears defense has been recently, and the Seahawks' inability to stop plays recently, the possibility for chunk plays is 100% there tonight. I definitely see a Jackson Smith and Jigba 30-plus yard touchdown tonight. I could 100% see a Keenan Allen, same thing, 30-plus. DK Metcalf. All those 4 wide receivers, the top 2 for each team, Jackson Smith, Keenan Allen, DK, and DJ, I could very easily see getting a long touchdown to at least get things started for these offenses. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of chunk plays, and this game has a lot of action tonight. To get into prop sides though, and to kind of maybe talk you off of Cole Kmet, we finally have an over charge in the field.
I think, no flags. All right, good. Toledo wins.
Toledo finally.
Very good. Very good. 6 straight losses to end the year for Narduzzi.
4th time in the same game.
Yeah,
okay.
What a shame. What a shame for Narduzzi. All right, go ahead there, Ryan.
Just to counter your point of possibly a Cole Kmet touchdown tonight, he only has 6 targets over the last 4 weeks. So Cole Kmet not seeing the ball come his way as much as he probably should in this offense. Caleb seems to have more of a better relationship with Keenan of any of the pass catchers in the Bears wide receiver or pass catching room. So to get into the Bears side of things, we'll look at DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. DeAndre Swift's rush attempts tonight is 14.5. 7 and 8 this season, has gone under in 5 of the last 6. 60.5 rushing yards. He is 6 and 9 this season, under in 6 of the last 8. 2.5 receptions, also 6 and 9 this season. Has caught 39 of 45 targets this season. So when he does get the targets, he does get the receptions. And then 76.5 total yards, rushing plus receiving yards, again, over in 6 of the 15 this season. In Soldier Field, in home games, DeAndre Swift has had 99 carries for 376 yards, 3 touchdowns, 20 targets, 18 catches. So that equates to 14 touches per game, or 14 attempts per game, over about 2.5 catches per game, and then under that 76.5 yards per game, right about 60 or so. Then DJ Moore, his receptions is at 5.5. He has enough targets this season in 13 of the 15 games. It's just whether or not him and Caleb Williams have been on the same page. He's gone over in 8 of the 15 games, 6 straight overs, has 42 targets in the last 4 weeks. That'll get you there pretty easy if you take the over on the receptions. And then Keenan Allen, again, still 5.5 for both those top receivers for the Bears. He's gone over in 3 of 13 this season. It kind of inflated for the recency that Keenan Allen has had the last few weeks. Back-to-back overs. All 3 overs are in the last 5 games. He does have enough targets, just like DJ Moore, in 10 of 13, only catching 56% of his targets, though. So he and Caleb may have the relationship off the field. It's clicking at a coin flip on the field. So then looking at Keenan, I did notes on Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet as well. The only one that really sticks out, Rome Odunze only has 1 game this season with 50 plus, or 1 game in the last 5 with over 50 yards receiving, so not really big on his receiving yardage tonight. But his longest reception is at 18.5. He's gone over in 8 of the 15. So with how I think big plays could be aplenty in this one, Rome.
That's pretty funny, actually, because just for fantasy players, Odunze's numbers have gone way up as the season's gone along. That will be the only mention of fantasy football in this show. But it's interesting to see what you just said there. It's really just chunk plays.
Yeah.
It's not volume. It's just one big burst per game. That was actually one of the bets that I actually landed on today. Was Odunze over his longest reception today. I thought it should have been where Keenan Allen's was, which is 20.5. Getting 18.5 with Odunze. Very happily take 2 less yards that I have to get on it. 120-yard reception, fine with me. That's that of these Bears receivers. That was my favorite bet. What do you have on Kmet here tonight, though?
So Kmet, as I had mentioned, he had 6 targets in the last 4 weeks. So his 2.5 receptions, he's gone over in 8 of the 15 games this season, but gone under in 3 straight. His 17.5 receiving yards, again, 8 and 7 this season, but again, 3 straight unders. Longest reception is at 10.5. He is 10 and 5 this season, so a little more, again, longer targets for Cole Kmet versus getting high volume. 27 targets at home this year for Cole Kmet, 21 catches for 223 yards, only 1 touchdown in Soldier Field this season, has long receptions of 26, 25, 22, and 20. So if you want to play that over 10.5, I don't fault you there. So
going to the Seattle end of things. So we've already mentioned again, it's Charbonnet's time. No Kenneth Walker the rest of the year. Just been battling injury all year long, and the last one he suffered last week, that was the end. See, this contradicts what we've been talking about all night, where you see the Charbonnet props. You would think you probably need this game to be an under game in order for Charbonnet to go over the attempts. Because it'd have to be a run first game. Neither of us see that tonight. So I think Charbonnet's props are really difficult to really figure. But what I want to do tonight, I want to do something that Gambling Twitter's done a lot of recently.
Okay.
But I have not really done, but I think this is the night to do it. I want to basically do negative correlations on DK Metcalf here tonight, where I want to take the under receptions, but over yardage here tonight, and then include that in with the over 23.5 on the longest reception. This feels like a night where the Bear. You can probably see this better than me because you're the fan of the team, right? But doesn't this feel like a night where they keep DK Metcalf under wraps basically the whole game, and then when this is like a 3-point game with 9 minutes to go, someone blows a coverage and DK hits one for 65 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
like exactly that kind of what it feels like here tonight with Metcalf, where it's a Smith and Jigba game where he has the receptions, he has a big day. Like you look up and it's like, oh, JSN had 8 catches for 96 yards tonight. It's a really good night for JSN. And then you look at Metcalf, it's like, oh, they kept him under wraps, but then you see that long is 60 whatever. Yeah. That's what it kind of feels like to me with Metcalf. So I'm good with taking some negative correlation here. Under receptions, over receiving yards, over longest reception here. I like both the longest receptions for both Jackson Smith-Njigba and DK Metcalf. I do, again, think big plays are going to be aplenty in this one tonight. Zach Charbonnet coming off his fewest touches of the season. Granted, Kenneth Walker did play, but his 16.5 attempts, he is 2 and 13 to the over this season. Both overs were in the last 4 games against the Cardinals and the Dolphins. Again, same thing with his rushing yardage, 2 and 13, both over against the Cardinals and Dolphins. His receptions, though, has gone over in 6 of the 15, and that total yardage, again, over in 2 of the 15, mainly because Zach Charbonnet was not the only back in this backfield, but they're not banking on him when he has been the only guy to be the main part of their offense. They do have these wide receivers that are more than capable of performing for their offense, and so Jackson Smith-Njigba, his 6.5 receptions, granted, he is... I'm pretty sure is on a record 7 weeks. He's had 75 receiving yards in 7 straight weeks, which I think is a record for a second-year player. Mm-hmm. I believe I'm quoting that stat correctly. I might not be, though. But anyway, 6.5 receptions, gone over in 6 of 15, back-to-back overs for Jackson Smith-Njigba. 72.5 receiving yards, gone over in 8 of the 15, gone over in 7 straight games.
and that longest reception, 23.5, over in 7 of 15, over in 5 straight games. So it'll be Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson trying to guard Jackson Smith, Njigba, and DK Metcalf tonight. And Tyreek Stevenson is the one that tipped the Hail Mary to Noah Brown against the Commanders. So Tyreek Stevenson has had
a rough go of it.
Plenty of issues the last few weeks with not just the last few weeks, really the entire season with busted coverages. So again, I think there are going to be plenty of big plays in this game tonight. DK Metcalf, 4.5 receptions, gone over in 3 of 13, does have at least 4 catches in every single game on the road this season. So if you're putting together a same game parlay, I would go down to 4 catches for DK Metcalf. 60.5 receiving yards, 6 and 7 this season, 5 and 1 on the road.
So I'm somewhat on the right track with what I was telling you before.
The longest reception, 23.5 yards, is 9 and 4 to the over, 5 and 1 on the road. So again, big plays. I like Jackson Smith-Njigba and DK Metcalf, longest receptions over those 23.5 yards.
Just real quick here on this before we look at some other things real quick. By the way, shout out to the chat. Lalea's in there, Agent 87. Yep. We got a lot of our good friends in there. Vince, Jerry, A Gold, Sean Campy. Just new names across the board here for Sean. Not Sean, Creepy Sean, Tall Sean, Chef Sean.
How many different personalities you got back there?
Yeah. Peyton Manning, or wasn't it Eli Manning?
Yeah.
Was Eli Manning? Yeah. There you go. All right. Ryan, I just want to bring up my power rankings real quick.
Okay. Do you want to take a look at quarterbacks or power rankings first?
Oh, actually, no. I forgot about the quarterbacks. How could I forget the quarterbacks? Let's get the quarterbacks first, of course. Sorry. Boy, see? Just shows how much I'm thinking about Caleb Williams here tonight, Ryan. So real quick on the Geno Smith end of things. Where Geno, I think we at this point, we just have to respect Geno that, all right, he's not this elite guy, but he's a very good starting quarterback.
Serviceable for sure.
Playing behind a dreadful offensive line. Now, I guess tonight with these quarterbacks, we kind of like, based off of what we're talking about, we like a bunch of overs here. For Geno, I want the passing touchdowns over. That's really the one that looks the best. I'll take the plus price. I think he can get the 2 tonight. Probably good for an interception as well. I wish it was a better price than minus 120, but he's probably good for that as well. On the Caleb Williams side of things, Brian, is this the night he finally gets in on the ground? Hasn't gotten one yet this year. We're getting about 5-1.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like kind of be amazing if he went the whole rookie season without a rushing touchdown with how good he is with his legs.
That kind of goes back to the question of they got to get to the goal line.
Yes,
and
that's true.
Do they give it to Roschon Johnson, or what do they manage to do in that scenario? I don't think Caleb Williams manages to scramble in the end zone, but that's also because I like his throwing touchdowns tonight more so than scrambling for them. So first looking at Geno Smith, that 33.5 attempts has gone over in 7 of 15 this season. Last week ended a 5-game under streak, also under in 7 of the last 9 games for the Seahawks. 22.5 completions has gone over in 8 of 15 this season. 246 passing yards has also gone over in 8 of 15 this season. His passing touchdowns, 3 and 12 to the over. Both games that he went, or the games that he went over earlier this season, he followed with zeros. So that's not great for Geno Smith's patching touchdowns tonight. His interception, though, 10 and 5 this season, back-to-back yeses, and you're seeing it at minus 120, which is the same thing as Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams is still setting a rookie record for most passing attempts without throwing an interception. So I'm kind of baffled by those numbers. I would be much more inclined to take Geno Smith than Caleb Williams. But yes, going to Caleb Williams' numbers now, 31.5 pass attempts has gone over in 5 of 15 this season, over in 3 of the last 5, though. So their offense, as Thomas Brown has taken over for the play calling and really the entire team, they're putting more behind Caleb just to get him more reps and seeing how this offense flows behind him. And granted, we haven't mentioned this, but the Bears will be without their starting left tackle, Braxton Jones, who fractured his fibula. So they will be with a backup left tackle tonight and next week. 20.5 completions has gone over in 7 of 15. 3 straight overs at home. 216 passing yards. 8 and 7 this season. Another 3 straight overs at home. 2 passing touchdowns, getting a plus 150. Is that still what it is? 145.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 145 has gone over in 7 of 15 this season, has gone over in 4 of the last 5 games. So again, the Bears passing offense is picking up. Granted, they're also playing catch up in a lot of these games. So getting last minute garbage points is Caleb Williams. His interception, 3 and 12 this season. Anytime touchdown, like Jeff said, 0 and 13. His longest completion is set at that 33.5. He's gone over in 5 of 13. That's not the right number, but anyway, he is the only week 1 starter this season to still be starting to not have a completion over 50 yards. So the Bears offense isn't getting massive chunk plays or yards after the catch after big chunk plays. So not confident with the longest completion for Caleb Williams. Longest receptions, a little different story because you have about 10 yards of breathing room for some of the receivers. There was the other point that I wanted to make about the longest reception for Caleb Williams. At home, DJ Moore's longest receptions have been 37, 34. Keenan Allen's have been 45 and 40. Rome Odunze's have been 30 and 21. And Cole Kmet, as I had mentioned earlier, had been 26, 25, 22, and 20. So the Bears offense should be capable of moving the ball tonight. I again, do like the over 41.5. I do like Caleb Williams to have two touchdown passes. And bear down. We can get into power rankings.
Bear down, he says. The man says bear down. And well, for your draft position, it would be
better
beneficial
lose,
to lose out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing to lose that many games in a row.
Week 6, we were talking about all 4 teams in the NFC North being over 500.
Look, Ryan,
Bears haven't won since.
I still feel pretty vindicated of what I said during the summer, that this was the best division in football, the NFC North. If even with the Bears going 4-13, I feel like I was right. Just because of looking at what the other quote unquote high end divisions were going to be during the year. The AFC East was awful.
Yeah.
The AFC North, the team that was projected to win the division in some shops, might finish under 500 in Cincinnati. The NFC West, big bust this year. AFC West, you're going to get 3 teams with double digits, but the Bears are still better than the Raiders are. So even though the Raiders, as Dwayne mentioned before, the Raiders might do the impossible and screw up the draft position legitimately 9 spots in 2 weeks, which would be very impressive if they managed to do that. All right, power rankings. Keynote for me on this. This is entering yesterday. I had already moved Kansas City back to 1.
Okay.
Because I had to move Philadelphia down because of the Hurts concussion. This is just short-term thing with Philadelphia. They're more likely to not move back up again. But there's a big difference between the defenses of Kansas City, Buffalo, and Detroit at this point. And even before yesterday's domination of Pittsburgh, Kansas City's defense is really playing great football right now again. And this is kind of the discussion we had at the beginning of the year, Ryan, where that unit was the best unit in football for about 6 weeks at the beginning of the year. Then they tapered off. KC still won all those close games, and everyone was screaming about, how can this team possibly be that good? Well, still have number 15, who's, by the way, the best quarterback in the second half by every single major metric this year. And you have a defense that is elite again. So they go back to 1. Buffalo's 2, Detroit's 3, Philadelphia's 4. Those are interchangeable 2 through 4. If you want to put any order, I can't really argue anyway with that. Green Bay and Baltimore, I actually, even with Baltimore's absolute, somehow non-scoregami 31-2 win over Houston yesterday, I still have Green Bay slightly ahead of Baltimore. Because I think Green Bay's defense is still much better than Baltimore's defense, even though the Raven defense has been better over the last month. Minnesota slightly behind those 2 teams at 7. And then once you get to 8, I don't really care anymore, Ryan, because I think I think those top 7 are the only teams that are capable of winning the Super Bowl at this rate. And I think we're stretching on Minnesota, even with this great season they're having. The Rams, the best of the rest, 8. Steelers are out of the top 10 after yesterday. The problem is I have no idea who to put at 10 now without them in there. So they might just stay in there because there's no other teams. Chargers moved to 9, but once you get past 7, I don't think anyone past 7 can win the Super Bowl this year, Ryan.
I had the same battle that you did, trying to put my rankings together. This was after yesterday.
And this was also with Green Bay at 13, even though they're not 13.
Yes, I'll be sure to mention where they actually are. But yes, I did also move the Kansas City Chiefs back up to my number 1 spot. This defense is coming back into form, and Jeff's point, they do have number 15 and Andy Reid. And they now have home field in the AFC playoff picture. So good luck going through Kansas City. Buffalo Bills are number 2. Something has to be wrong with Amari Cooper. Getting 1 catch the last 2 weeks, getting 2 targets the last 2 weeks is not normal. I would like to think that they traded for him to be a bigger part of this offense, and he just hasn't been that. But I would like to think that they're going to pick that up come playoff time. And then the Baltimore Ravens are my number 3 team. Yes, I do have 3 AFC teams go 1, 2, 3. That is because of the injury concerns I have for the Lions, the injury concerns I have for the Eagles, and the 2 other teams in the NFC North. I just don't think are actually capable of winning the big game. But the Detroit Lions are still number 4. Minnesota Vikings are 5. The Commanders go to 6 because of their win over the Eagles this past weekend. The Eagles fall to 8 because of the injury to Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts is playing, they're my number 3 team in football. With Kenny Pickett, you're seeing them here at 8. But exactly like Jeff said, from my really number 7 to I've got Tampa at 12, Green Bay at 13, Houston and Miami 14 and 15. That chunk is really separated by 2.5 points. So no real confident way to rank those.
Sure.
It's just I have more confidence in the Bengals offense to produce than I do in the Steelers right now, and than I do in the Chargers right now, because the Chargers have shown that their offensive weapons, they need more offensive help, as well as help on defense. But the Chargers offense is what needs the help. They do have Justin Herbert, but Quentin Johnson can't be your wide receiver too. That's just not going to be a winning recipe for you. And then the Steelers have been falling off the last few weeks. I don't know what the rumors are about there being a cancer on the defensive side of the ball in their locker room. But the Steelers need to figure something out, and quickly.
Yeah, what was that all about yesterday?
I don't.
And then, of course, actually, in one of the few moments, I'll actually agree with Terrell Owens, who went after Pickens for not running a route on the interception thrown in the end zone by Wilson, which, I mean, they said, Burleson said it on the broadcast yesterday, and he was right. But it's the Steelers kind of just look like they've kind of been this last 8 years with Tomlin, where they overachieve. Some of the years they make the playoffs and don't do anything, and now this year they got off to the brilliant start. And I said it this morning, I don't think they're winning again. I think they're losing to Cincinnati. I think they're losing to Baltimore when it inevitably ends up in the 3-6 game, and that's that for the Steelers. Where again, I would never consider firing Mike Tomlin, but I just wonder if that benefits everyone if start fresh. Again, grass isn't always greener for Pittsburgh. I wonder for Tomlin, even if that's almost something that you'd want to consider. But
I feel like if that is something under consideration, that you can't fire Mike Tomlin. You and
I agree, Ryan.
You cannot just let some other team here's one of the best coaches of all time.
Yeah, you got to make a trade.
Go ahead and hire him. Yeah, no, that has to be a situation. Yeah, where it is both parties want to separate, want something new, and you make a trade. The Steelers would be.
It'd be nuts.
Insane.
Yeah, I think it'd be nuts. But I will say this: your Bengal one is interesting because I don't think there's a path for them to get in at this point, because Kansas City winning yesterday makes it. Look, could Kansas City with Carson Wentz go into Denver and win? Yes, they could. But I have a very hard time seeing Kansas City with their second string guys going in and beating the Broncos, with Denver needing the game in week 18.
Yep.
If they did go in and win there, that'd be on the level, not quite Indianapolis blowing it against Jacksonville a few years ago with Carson Wentz. See how I tied it all together, Ryan? But it would be something else. I just don't think the path is there for Cincinnati. Also, too, the problem that the Bengals have right now to make the playoffs. They need Indianapolis. By the way, Anthony Richardson didn't practice today. Could be Flacco against who the heck knows for the Giants on Sunday in New York. But could be Flacco the rest of the way potentially. And then the Dolphins play two bad teams. Now, the Dolphins play both those games probably in below freezing temperatures. So that could counteract their dominance against bad teams. So, look, the path is there, but Indy's going to be favored in their last two games. And Miami's going to be favored in their last two games. And Denver's going to be a big favorite week 18. So you need a 3 underdog parlay in order to come home. Oh, plus you have to win the two games in front of you if you're Cincinnati, which I will say, if they made the playoffs, even with that horrible defense,
they're a threat.
I would not want to see them if I'm Buffalo.
Yeah, no,
especially with all Buffalo's defensive injuries. That's one you bet the over, and they probably can't make it high enough for it.
Their offense is so prolific.
Both of them, again, Burrow. If Cincinnati had a mediocre defense instead of what they have, instead of this all-time train wreck, it would be a legitimate 3-horse race for the MVP right now. Allen, Burrow, and Lamar.
Yeah.
It would be actually one of the best MVP races we've had in a very long time if Burrow was in there as well. It's still pretty darn good as it is, which, by the way, Jackson closed the gap to plus 135 this morning at most shops in the MVP race.
Also, how crazy is it that Jamar Chase is having the year that he's having and he's not in the Offensive Player of the Year conversation?
Yeah. I mean, kind of for both of them, right?
Right.
I mean, Joe Burrow is 450 to 1 this week to be Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Burrow having the best year of his career.
Jamar Chase is likely to win the Triple Crown.
Yeah, and he's not going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, fun things for that Bengal team this year, but what are you going to do? All right, Ryan, we're back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Myself, Vinny, Chris, Jimmy, getting you ready for NFL Week 17, and Chris Felica joins us right at 2 o'clock tomorrow to get us going for the college football quarterfinals. I can't wait for those games on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I'm just super intrigued to see what happens in the Rose Bowl. That is college football at its finest. The best venue in collegiate, honestly, forget collegiate athletics. The best venue in all of American sports for the pageantry and all of it with the Rose Bowl. And you have the two best teams in college football in the quarterfinal, which is ridiculous, but will make for a great game. So looking forward to that. We will preview those as well ourselves on Monday with even more line move coming, of course, through the weekend. All right, Ryan, good work.
You as well.
Good luck. I don't know what you're rooting for exactly tonight, but good luck with your Bears. Jerry, Sean, Vince, and Drew Doug, and we'll shout out Caden as well up in Utah. Good work as always. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again next time right here, Sports by the Book, Football Frenzy.